Once it starts recording, I'll say that first part over again. Okay, so we're looking at the graph here. We're starting to label everything. We're starting with number 5 is the vertex. So the vertex is the highest or lowest point of the parabola. Okay, and it is listed. Not as listed. It is a point. So x comma y. In this case, the vertex here would be 5 along the x and then -8. So it would be 5 comma -8. Okay. Any questions about the vertex? So the vertex is going to be the highest or lowest point. So essentially like where the curve, the point of the curve there. And you record it as like a point. So it's x comma y. All right, so anyone else have another point they want to point out for this? Out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? T, you should know this off by heart. Oh, Farley, go ahead.
All right. Well, the zeros, root, and x-intercepts are what are those? Number 3 and 4.
3 and 4.
Yeah.
Okay. So already here, there's zeros. Oh my gosh, my writing thing is not, doesn't want to write. Zeros. They're also called the roots. They're also called x-intercepts. Okay. So you'll find that sometimes they're named all 3 of these things. I will call them either the x-intercepts or the zeros usually. Okay. So okay, so that's where the parabola crosses the x. The x, which is the horizontal axis. Okay. You list these. By stating the value. Okay. In this case, you would say the x-intercepts are 1 and 9. Okay. Don't write it as 1 comma 9. Okay, that's different. I'll highlight that red because I don't want that. Okay, don't write it as 1 comma 9 because that's a point. You want to write it as 1 and 9. And then I can even add in here. Not all parabolas have x-intercepts. Okay, some will, some will not. Take that away. Like I could have something that looks like this. If I had a parabola that looked like this, that one never crosses the x-intercepts. Or I gotta have a parabola that looks like that. That never crosses. Okay, so it's okay if it doesn't. Okay, who else has a spot for me here? Who else has a, so for question 1 and 2, okay. 2 is the line of symmetry. Good. I'm gonna go LOS because you don't want me to write everything out there. And let's make that yellow. Line of symmetry. Okay, you guys both answer the same thing. So the line of symmetry is the vertical line that cuts, well, that's how you say splits the, okay. You write it as x equals something. So for this one, it would be x equals 5. Okay. Okay. You also notice that it's the same value as the x in the vertex. So in this case, the 5 there is the exact same 5 that's in the vertex right there. Okay? Do you guys see that? So they're the exact same. How do we feel about the 3 things we've done so far? You feeling good? So for Kovacs and Ben, we're just going through the characteristics of a parabola. Okay? So this is now, by elimination, this one here is our y-intercept. Okay? So our y-intercept is right there. Okay, and that is simply where the y-axis. So where the parabola crosses the y-axis, this is the vertical axis. Okay? And you just write that as y-intercept equals. So in this case, is, what's that, 4.5? So the very last thing we have is max or min. So I'll write it in here. So a max is when the vertex is the highest point. Okay. Min is when the so you refer to it's the max if the vertex is the highest point of the graph. So for example, if we took this here, this would be a max because that vertex is the highest point, right? And then this one here would be a min, since it's the lowest point of that parabola. So in the case of the one up here, is that a max or a min? What would you tell me there? Good, it's a minimum, right? Because the vertex is the lowest point on that graph. Fine. Give me a D in chat when you're all done writing your definitions and your filling in your blanks. For Logan and Ben. So for Logan and Ben, we were filling this in our notes to self. Okay. So what I'll do is when you guys have homework time, I'll come back to this page in case you didn't have time to write it down as of right now. Okay, I'll give you guys a minute. You screenshot it? Okay. What's DW mean? So Yosan, since you just joined us, we just went through our definitions of what a parabola looks like, the characteristics of a parabola. I'll come back to this. Okay, don't worry, perfect. I'll come back to this once we do our practice, so you can write this down in your notes to self, or make your own notes to self out of it. Okay, am I good to go, or does someone need more time? Press T in chat if you want some more time to write this down.
Do we just put this one in the notes to self?
This one here is the exact same as your last page of your notes to self for this week. Okay, so we just kind of filled in that check. So what we'll do right now, Yosan, is we're going to go on and do the lesson part, the practice part, and then after we're done that, I'll come back and show this screen. So if you want to copy it down at that point. Okay, Andreas, you want to tell me when you're done? And then we'll move on. Just write D in the chat when you're done, Andreas. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to look at different graphs and identify these characteristics in them. Okay. And as we wait for Andreas, write in chat what your favorite thing to get at Dairy Queen is. Farley works at Dairy Queen. Farley said, don't get any of the food. And blizzards are the best thing. And if you write blizzards, you have to tell me what flavor of blizzard. Cookie dough, Oreo blizzard. Strong choices. Farley, did I ever tell you what my favorite thing ever at Dairy Queen was?
No, was it peanut butter parfaits?
No, that's not my favorite thing ever. Back when I was young,
Yeah,
you could get a cone. You know how cones now you can get dipped in chocolate or butterscotch, probably?
yeah, we have butterscotch right now.
Right? What they used to do back in the day was they had like a plate of sprinkles, and they could roll your ice cream cone in the sprinkles.
Oh, you can still get that, you know.
What?
Yeah.
You'll roll my...
Oh, when they dip it in the chocolate, you can ask them to put sprinkles on it.
Oh, no, I just want it rolled in sprinkles.
Oh, yeah, no, we don't have the sprinkles anymore. Oh, the roll of sprinkles.
Yeah. It was just a bowl of sprinkles, and they'd roll your ice cream in it.
Wow.
So... Andreas, are you done now? Okay, perfect. Yeah, Ben, I can't eat, well, we love ice cream cake here, but that ice cream has so much sugar in it, I can't eat it. It's like automatic diabetic headache. Okay, so I'm going to do the first one. What we're going to do is we're going to look at this graph. Okay. And we're going to pull the information out of it. So, and if I'm going too quick, put an S in chat for slow down. So for this one here, here's my graph. The coordinates of my vertex. So my vertex is right here. So the coordinates are going to be an XY part. So my X here is going to be 1. So I go in 1. Then my Y coordinate is I'm going to go down 4. So there is my coordinates of my vertex. My axis of symmetry, if we remember, is the imaginary line that cuts it perfectly in half. And if I could draw a line, and if you remember, that is actually the same as these two numbers are the same. So x equals 1 is my axis of symmetry. This here is going to be a minimum because it's the lowest part of the graph. My zeros, or x-intercepts, are right here, where it's crossing the x-axis. So that is going to be -1 and 3. Okay. Well, we didn't do direction of opening. Direction of opening is which direction is it opening up to? So in this case, it's opening up. And lastly, my y-intercept is right here. So that is -3. Out of 5, 5 being I totally understand that, how comfortable are we working across like that? Did you understand everything? Is there a point where I totally lost you? Okay. This is a very simple lesson, but the better you are able to understand the very basic points, it'll make everything so much easier. What about all the top stuff? What do you mean by all the top stuff? Yeah, we'll do a couple more and a bit slower. Okay. The point at the top, don't worry about those right now. Those are just points that the person, like, as they're making the graph, would have just put on there. They're not important for what we're looking at right now. Okay, we'll look at something like that later today. All right. So let's do this next one. Okay. So how many do we have here? I'll do this one again. So vertex. So Gabe, what we did, we went over what these were, what these all meant, and we're just putting in the practice now. Okay. So the vertex is the highest or lowest point of our graph. So in this case, it's right here. And remember, it's x comma y in brackets. So my x in this case is -1, because I'm going to go back here. And my y is up 4. Okay, that's no problem. Okay. Now my axis of symmetry is that imaginary line that cuts it in half. And wherever that line hits the x-axis, that's our number. So in this case, that imaginary line that cuts it right in half hits the x-axis at -1. So it's going to be x equals -1 as our axis of symmetry. Next up, we're looking at max or minimum. So is my vertex the highest point of the parabola or the lowest point of the parabola? In this case, it's the highest point, so that is going to be a max. Now your zeros, your x, oh, I can't believe I wrote this twice. Zeros, x-intercepts, and let's just say roots. But I wrote zeros twice. This is where it crosses the x-axis. So we're looking at here and here. Remember, this is the x-axis, this is the horizontal axis. So we just write down those numbers. So we have -3 and in this case, 1. The direction of opening is which way is the graph opening, okay? Is it pointing down or is it pointing up? In this case, it's pointing down. Then the last one is y-intercept, so we take a look at where does it cross the y-axis. And it crosses right here at 3. How do we feel now about that, Andreas? Did I go at the right speed for that one? Good. All right. So here is the next one. Okay. So I'm not going to answer anything here. I want you guys to write in chat. Okay. And you're not allowed to answer more than one answer. So if you answer for the vertex, you can't answer any other ones because I want to hear Tessa. I want to hear from Tessa. Michael Tang, I haven't heard from in a bit. So I want to hear a wide variety of people. All right, so who wants to give me the vertex of this one? I'll zoom in here as best I can to make sure I keep all the boxes. So write in the vertex for me. You're right, but you're just opposite. -1, oops, comma 3. Good. So -1, comma 3 is our vertex because it's right there. So we go in -1, then go up 3. Okay, who has my axis of symmetry for me? Who wants to tell me what my axis of symmetry is? Let me zoom out there so you can see the ones above. Would you rather zoomed in or zoomed out? Okay, Farley, you're done answering now. So x equals -1. And Michael, Olivia Sanvito's done answering because she put brackets on her vertex. So she got the first one correct. So Farley and Sanvito are out. Okay. So that should say max or min there. So next one here. Is it a max value or a min value? What do we have here? A max value or a min value? Minimum. Perfect. Next one's x-intercepts. What's my x-intercepts for this graph? And Michael, you can't answer anymore either. Who can tell me my x-intercepts? Or do we have x-intercepts for this one? Or is it just NA, not applicable? I don't have any. There are none. Very good. So it's just NA. Now, is my parabola opening up or opening down? Oh, Dominic, you can't answer. Oh, Tessa, get in there first. Tessa, you're done. Now, what's my y-intercept? Why can't you answer? I want everyone to answer once per question, Dominic. So what's my y-intercept of this parabola? 5, correct. Perfect. All right. Next one. Okay, everyone's back on the board. Everyone can answer again. What's my vertex for this one? And by all means, have your chart right beside you that we filled in before. So it needs to be in brackets. There needs to be 2 numbers. Good job, San Vito. You're the vertex queen. Okay. What's my, so here's it right now, right? It's 3 along the x-axis. It doesn't go up or down, so that's why you have the 0 there. Okay, so what is my axis of symmetry? So San Vito's out. What's my axis of symmetry? Can you write it x equals something? X equals 3. I agree. So if you draw that line, straight and down, but it also matches this number here. What's next? Max or min value? Is this a max or min value? Good. Max. And what's my zeros for this? Now, a parabola could have 2 zeros, 1 0, or no zeros. Okay, so what's my value of my zeros here? Take a shot at it. Don't be shy. Not quite. I like what you're thinking. You gave me the y value. Zeros are x values. So what's your x-intercept? Where does it cross over the x-axis? Where does the parabola touch the x-axis? Very good, Andreas. 3. Right? Right here is where it hits the x-axis. If it only hits at one spot, right? If you saw this where it went like this, you'd say, oh, it touches there and there, but it only touches at that one spot. Does that make sense to everyone once I point it out? Yeah, and you're thinking the right way. You just took the y number there. Does this open up or down? Down, correct. And then lastly, what is the y-intercept of this one? Oh, Yosan, you're done, but you answered it anyways. Negative 18 is correct. Okay. Perfect. So I changed it up here a little bit, and I'll do the first one here. This one here is we're going to use this information to put information on the graph. Okay. So I'll do the first one. Not all by myself. Now this here is my vertex. So I'm going to graph the point 2, 4. So I'm going to go in the 2 and up 4 and put a dot there. Okay. Now, the next thing I need the graph, I can look at these parts I don't really need the graph. The next thing I need the graph is this part here. What color did we do these in? This was purple. Right? 4 and 0 are my x-intercepts. So I'm going to put a dot at 4. I'm going to put a dot at 0. And then here's my y-intercept right here. And it happens to be at 0 as well, which kind of makes sense because they both share there. And boom, if I had nice, perfect, nice, smooth curve, we could draw a parabola, okay? And we can look at it and we say, okay, the vertex is at 2, 4. That makes sense, it's right there. Our axis of symmetry is at 2. Yep, that cuts in half. The max value here, it's a max, it's a max, right? It has a value of 4, max, good. 4 and 0 are my x-intercepts, good. It opens down, good. And my y-intercept's at 4. How do we feel about that out of 5? 5 being, yeah, I understand it, right? 1 being like, it's magic how did you get from those numbers over here? Okay. Good. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to try to graph this. I'm going to tell you what parts to graph. So graph your vertex. Graph your, here's your x-intercepts. Do we have any x-intercepts in this one? Yes or no? No. So we don't need to graph those. We want to look at those. And graph your y-intercept. Okay, I want you to make a little sketch, even if it's just a little sketch that looks like this, right? And kind of sketch it out before I draw it. Okay? And your sketch may look something like this. I'm going to make it totally look wrong. Your sketch just may look something like that. Well, it's got an x-intercept. There we go. All right, so make a little sketch, and I'll see if we'll see if it matches. Put a D in chat when you're done making your little sketch. Who else came in the class? Abby, not yet. Gabe, you're here. GD, no. Yosin, you're here. Good. Andreas, you're done? Perfect. Only Andreas is done? Good. You're just too fast? Yeah. Ever since you won that race against Tessa yesterday. Done. Andreas, do we start referring to Tessa as too slow Tessa? Fast Andreas? Okay, I'm gonna, I heard someone's mic. So I'm gonna graph this right now. So first thing I'm gonna graph is my vertex. -3, 4. So I'm gonna go over -3 up to 4. Now I have no x-intercept, so I'm not gonna graph that. My y-intercept is 6. So I'm gonna put a dot right there. And then I draw my parabola like so. Give me a Y in chat if your parabola looks something like that, right? It may not look exactly because I have numbers and everything like that. If you just, here's my look like this, right? Now level 4 would have had like something like this. Good. So you guys have some time to work on some homework. So if I go to Abigail's here, let me think here. If I go to Abigail's week 2 Wednesday practice, it looks just like what we just did, right? With the exact same things. Now some of these graphs I freely admit that you may have to zoom in on it, right? Like there, it's not a perfect number, but you can make up your own numbers there, okay? And these ones here, I want you to sketch out just like we did before, okay? Just like we just did that last one. And you would graph. Actually, I'm going to do this on Andreas, says Abigail. Where is your homework, Andreas? Week 2 practice. Remember, when you go through this, you want to graph the vertex, your zeros, and your y-intercept. And that's what it's going to make your graph. Okay? Any questions on this? And we'll come back at 10:30 for next lesson for a half hour. Okay? And at 10:30 means we're starting sharp at 10:30. I will go back here, scroll up. So for anyone that needs to write this down in their notes to self, there is everything. This is a last page of notes to self. If I go to your notes to self here, the very last page has all this info on it. Okay? So that is there for you to work on, and you can work on your homework. We'll come back at 10:30. Any questions right now? Or are we thumbs up good? Okay, we must be good. Oh, I want to do this first. Attendance check real quick. I want this info. And I'll put it up on here as well. Don't use that one. Then make a new one. All right, there you go. Oh, I didn't press enter in the chat. Sorry, there you go. So fill that out. You have your homework to work on, and we'll be back at 10:30. T, you have the most T response ever. That's great. You need to check your email for me, T. Unless you already checked it and just ignoring me. Okay. Haley, are you a Lourdes kid? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah? Okay. So you don't know Abby J. Dean, and Yosan are Lourdes kids as well. Thought you guys might roll together. And you guys don't need partners, for sure. I was wondering if you did want partners. I used to be one of them. What is it? Oh, a Lourdes kid. Okay. I coached at Lourdes for a long time. I love Lourdes. Your attendance check won't load. Let me check and see if what comes up with it, Logan. All right. All right. Did you get the work yet, Logan? I might email you the check as well. Oh. Is that yeah, I got the work, Logan, or no, I didn't get the work? Okay, perfect. I will pull this back up. So you guys can copy this down if you missed out on it. And then you have your homework to work at. And we'll be back ready to go at 10:30. We probably won't get through the whole lesson at 10:30, but we shall see what we have going on.